Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sava Safari. Welcome to Mahali, Mzuri. Welcome to Olare Motoroge Conservancy. We are live from Masai Mara, Olare Motoroge Conservancy. We have just started our game drive. My name is Jackson. My cameraman is Gideon. So come with us. We have plenty of game around today. We actually experiencing some short rains in the Mara, which is really fantastic because animals are getting plenty of food around. We have a lot of green grass here. So most of the herbivores are so happy. Animals are breeding well as well. So we're going to have a lot of herbivores around. So we're going to drive and see what we can find. So come with us. When you look forward, actually in front of us, I can see a very big herd of zebras together with the Impala. As I told you earlier on, you can see the grass look very green. It is such a very blessing year. For the last 2 years, we've been having a lot of rains here. So definitely we have not seen any drought for the last 2 years. So I'm just driving a little bit whether we can get a bit close of the zebras. So actually, that is actually a Dazzle of Zebras. That is a group of zebras. That is the name of the grouping of zebras. It's called a Dazzle of Zebras. You can see how peacefully they are. They're grazing in a very nice way. Whenever you see these animals, the way they're just relaxing now, it's a little bit of a free of predators around here now. Because most of the time when they spot any predator around, they're going to have an alarm call. And definitely the rest of the family will be alert. And then, actually when you look around as well, you can see there's some Impalas there. They normally do a lot together. A very big harem of Impala. There are several, I can see several males there together with a female, so it looked like a dominant male have been taken over, and that is why you can see that particular males joining the group. As long as it's been defeated, you will notice someone will be joining the group until they find a dominant one. So the zebras are very special animals. They have beautiful colors. And one of the unique factors is every zebra has got its own stripes. It is just like our fingerprints. Sometimes it might be a little bit hard for us to know, but actually everyone has got its own stripes. There's one little young one getting a scratch there. I don't know whether you can capture that, Gideon. There's a little one getting a scratch on the tree there. So normally these animals are involved in the migration as well. But the zebras normally like the greener stuff or the green grass. And because this year we had some rain that started in October, and that is why you can see them hanging around here. And definitely majority of them are pregnant. Some has got big bellies. So probably for the next like another maybe 1 or 2 months, we're going to have some young ones. Some fall of zebras. I don't know whether you can hear their sounds a little bit on the background. They sound like horses. And some point you find them rolling down. I think the horses do the same thing. So let me just go a little bit forward. So one thing you realize is zebras, male zebra, the stallion, they normally have several mares that make them like wives. So you will find one stallion might have like 4 or 5 mares or females that they make them like wives, and then it's gonna mate with those females. So eventually, at that particular time, we can call them a harem. But when they all come together, they make a dazzle. They make a dazzle of zebras. They might come with a great combination, which make a dazzle of zebras. That is a big family of Impala right there. You can see actually how happy these animals are. Plenty of food. So one thing you notice about the Impala, the male normally have horns and the female doesn't have horns. Look at that. There's a male running up and down there trying to find who is going to be a dominant. I think he wants to win the harem of females. So what you need to do actually has to chase all the males away. Some of the young males are there that are a little bit look younger. And the Impalas look so beautiful. One thing you'll notice, when you look at their back, you can see the 3 black line on the back. Sometimes we can call them McDonald's. When you get a bit of a zoom there, from the back, you might see the 3 black line, which make like a name. And sometimes we call them McDonald's. And this is one of an antelope that can jump quite high. Sometimes it can jump like about 3 meters high, especially when they get scared. If any predator scare them. So one of the great sighting of this animal, especially after the rain, the short rain season of November and December, is gonna make these animals happy. You can see how greener this area is, plenty of food around, and you can see how happy they are. When you see the plenty of these animals, definitely you know the cats are there as well, and the cats actually have a bit of a difficult time. When these animals are having plenty of food, they're going to be strong enough to run away from the predators. And sometimes it make a little bit more harder for lions to survive when the animals are quite strong. Some 2 guys there, like they're having a bit of a confrontation there. They want to fight. Look at that. Female. And one of the interesting factor is when they fight, their horns get locked, and it will be so difficult for them to unlock their horns. So what happens is, if any predator is around, it is like a bonus. Buy one, get one free, because their horns get locked, and they might kill both of them. So they normally have a short gestation period, that is about 6 months. And actually they have a very strong kind of an adaptation for the Impala, whereby they can hold their vitals from not developing until the condition is favorable. So when they have a long drought season, they can hold their vitals from not developing in their wounds until actually the conditions get favorable for them. So they're very, very unique animals. Look at the way the males chasing each other. You can hear the sound. Those are the male trying to separate the bachelors or the boys from the females. They normally have a very tough fight or a tough way of doing it, because you will find they run up and they start fighting among themselves until they find one single male who is going to dominate. All right, let me go a little bit forward more. You can see the other interesting antelopes there. So one of the great sighting here is you can find different species of animals on the same location, because it is always safety numbers for them to be together. When you see them together, they come for safety reasons, and another reason is they all feed on different levels of grass. So you will find the wildebeest, they normally go for the bulk grass or the bulk feeders. And then you will find the zebras, they also like short grass. Topi, they also love the short grass. Look at the topi there. And then the topis, they have some young ones as well. You can see the young topi. We can either call a topi or a blue jean. So that is one of the young topi. You can see the little blue jeans are developing there. So that's roughly about 3 months old. A lot of topis normally give birth in the month of November. We have some animals that give birth in November. Definitely the wildebeest, they're going to give birth from January, February up to March. And actually this is the time for the topi. They have already done it, so you can see some young ones around there. The topi look very unique antelopes. Can you see, sometimes we call them blue jeans because of the blue patches on their legs. It looks like someone wearing a blue jean. And these are very unique antelopes. You can only see here in the Mara and Serengeti in Tanzania. So it is a very special antelope around here. And they normally stand on a little mound sometimes. The males do that, which is something called lecking. They're trying to advertise themselves, or the females or the males advertise so that the females can see them. So look at that. You can see the zebra there, the impala, the male impala, the topi there. So actually around here you can see like 4 different species of animals together. Oh, look at those guys fighting. They normally have a very strong kick. These are actually our horses, the zebras. I love the way they are, those tribes. And actually, the only thing is, whenever you domesticate a zebra, their backs are very weak. So they can't hold any weight at their back. All right, so we're gonna drive along. This is one of the best times to visit Masai Mara. When it's green and beautiful, animals are happy. Then again in front of us you can see the Thompson gazelle. They're also among the group as well. This is one of the most fastest antelope around here. I think it's the second fastest after the cheetah. Interesting factor, you will notice that the Thompson gazelle, the males have much bigger horns than the females, but the females have a little smaller horns. So actually for the gazelle, the female has got smaller horns, but the male has got bigger. So for both sexes they have horns, of which for the Impala only the male have horns. There's one of the Impala, a male one doing, is having a rest on, I was doing some poo there. And then there's a white-bellied bustard, a bird next to that. I don't know whether the camera can capture that. Right there, you can see that bird. That's a white-bellied bustard. It's actually a bird, which is very common around here. You can see that. There's a white-bellied bustard. All right, let's drive along. Some other interesting thing like the flowers, you can see the white flowers on the ground. That's the pepper tissue flower. It is very common actually on the onset of the rain. Sometimes people might mistake like someone throwing some pieces of tissue on the ground, but it's a flower. Oh, look at that. There's some interesting animals around there. Let me stop there because they might run. So Gideon, just try to focus on that. Those are bat-eared fox. Oh, one is running. You can see the two running. But I think they have some young ones. And some entered the the little one run to the barrow, but there's one standing there. This is one of the animal that is strictly nocturnal. You see them at night, although sometimes we might be lucky and come across them on the daytime, but mostly when they're just popping out of the burrow. So those are bat-eared fox. You can see how skittish they are. They have just run away. All right. And then there's another interesting scavenger. There's a hyena. You can see it right there. That is a hyena. This is one of the strongest jaw carnivore. They have that capability of chewing and breaking the bones. And in some point you might see the white droppings on the ground, because of the calcium they eat, which are the bones that contain a lot of calcium, and then they change their droppings to be white. So one of the common animal or the common hyena we see in the Mara is a spotted hyena. And it is so interesting when you see them eating something, because they normally, sometimes we call them laughing hyena, because they have that kind of a sound they make, like a laughing sound. And actually it's a way of calling each other. Look at the way they just lie down. Most of these predators, they have a very strong sense of smell, a very good sense of eyesight and hearing as well. So generally the cat, the cats, the hyenas, which belong to their own family, and the most interesting thing is they're very closely related to cats than dogs. All right, I can see more hyenas in front of us, but we're gonna drive and see. So this is actually one of the beautiful time for them to come out, because remember, these animals, they're scavengers. At the same time, they can hunt for themselves. So in some parts, like in some area, you might see them. They are more even active. They are more active than lions, because when they move in a pack, they can hunt together, which make them to be more successful, because they move in a big clan. All right. The Gideon can try to zoom a little bit. You can see them. You can see, oh, it's actually getting a bit asleep now. Remember, they are merciless killers. I mean, this is one of the worst animals that you never want to see when they're hunting. A little bit similar to the wild dogs, because they normally eat when the animal is running. And the most funny thing is they never want to see anything hanging, so always they start from the tail. So this is one of the great areas for hyenas. You might see more than one, But when you look at them, they scattered along because they are looking for food. If one single one get anything that he will see is edible, so he's gonna call the rest, and he will find the big group coming together. So I can see another group here. There's one running with the bone there. Look at that. It's holding. It's holding. I think those are the tusks of a pumba or a warthog. But I think it's just got it, so it's a little bit smelling meat. So that is why I have decided to pick it up. But it's too tough to chew. You can see it's walking away with it. Remember, they eat bones, eh? So they can feast on the bone. When these guys are hungry, the hyenas, you might find them start going back and eat the old bones, especially after the rain. Sometimes the rain might soften a little bit the bones, and then they would definitely go for it. So actually I can see two more in front of us. Let me just drive a little bit close. Two more there. Two right there. One is running. Sometimes they feel a little bit skittish, but only when they are not eating anything. But when they are feasting, it is such an incredible animal to watch because they are so dramatic. Sometimes they have a little combination of shape. I think when I look at it, it looks like a bear and somehow like a dog. So it's a different combination of an animal. The hyena is getting up. Walking. And then sometimes you might think it doesn't have a tail. But when they're feasting, you can see how they raise their tails up. All right, we're gonna drive along and see what else we can find. You can see now those guys, the hyenas, are a little bit getting up, looking around. So when it's getting later in the evening, most of these predators start walking up and looking for food. Remember, they have been staying there all day. Look at that. We have another interesting predator there, or scavengers. There's a jackal. These are the black-backed jackal. They have some cute faces. And they normally pair for life. You always see them in two or in pair. which is always a male and a female together. So the second one is right there. The other one is getting up. These guys are scavengers as well. They can bring down their own kill. Mostly they go for the young impala, the newborn, that's what I mean, or gazelle. It's getting a stretch. They have some bushy tail. So this is a blackback or silverback jackal. They're moving away. All right. So we are approaching the bush. It's a little bit thicket along here. You remember, it has been raining for the last few weeks now. When it always rains, the bush gets more thick, which sometimes makes us a little bit more difficult to spot the cats. When the grass are long as well, it makes everything tough. Alright, look at that. There's some two male elephants. One male with so much big tusk. Very impressive. It's one of the males that we have around here, which is quite old. Sorry, because it's getting a little bit windy, because it's getting cloudy. That's why you can feel a lot of wind around. But we're gonna try our best whether we can find a way that we can avoid the wind. So look at that! Look at that! How big that male is. That is a very big male elephant. Actually, you can tell by those big tusks. The gentle giant. Look at when you look at the way they're just picking up some little shrubs from the ground. They normally prefer, after the rain, we have a lot of little shrubs that shoot out, and these elephants, they normally prefer that. Remember, most of the time in the dry season, they eat a lot of branches of trees that are very tough, and actually it makes them a little bit harder for their teeth, because if the old ones, when they actually win the last set of molars, it will make them a little bit tough for them to eat the tough branches of trees. Remember, the elephants, they have a lifespan of about 60-65 years, and I guess this male, when you look at the depression on the head, it shows that it's a little bit more older. So I think probably this is past 40. That's approximately. So maybe it might be like 45 years old, roughly. So the next one is a young male elephant. Sometimes the youngsters might want to join the old ones. And remember, the elephants, they can just be together. Normally males can be together, and this guy can join the group when they're mating. but the other time they prefer to be solitary. I don't know whether you can see some zebras as well. Everyone is coming out of the bush. Remember, it's almost late in the evening around here now, so you can see the wildebeest and the zebras together, all getting out of the bushes because the cats are getting active. So they're looking for the safety. You know, they try to find a safe place for them to stay. Let me try to get a little bit more closer to the elephant. And when you look at the trunk of an elephant, it's just full of muscles. They have like 1 million muscles on the trunk. And the trunk is a multi-purpose part of the body because they use for drinking water, and also they use as a hand, and also as a nose to smell. Such a great animal to watch. I love them. And normally the elephant, they have that kind of a ranking system whereby the female is a leader, so they have a matriarch leadership. Which is the female is a leader, and is always the one that decides where to go. And they have a way of communication. They have an ultrasound communication. And this is one of the animals that can remember. Whenever they go through an area, they can be able to tell. And that is why sometimes we have a problem of elephant getting out of the conservation area through villages, and they end up breaking up the fence, or they end up causing some problems on the homestead of the communities that are surrounding the conservation areas. Such a very sometimes peaceful animal. So one thing you notice about the animals here in the Mara, most of the time, because these animals have never get a lot of a disturbance, and that is why we are quite free when you see them the way they're just going around us, eating. they actually build that courage that we don't cause any problem to them, and that is why they just like, whenever they see the jeep, they know that we are not a threat to them. So whenever you see this old male, and then you can try to compare with us the other youngster, you can see how tiny the horns of that young one look like. As another, it's a young male, but you can see how small the tusks are. So that is still a young one, a young boy. And definitely the tusks will grow up bigger and bigger as they get old and old. And actually on their ears, they have a lot of veins that run across their ears, which is a very tiny veins. So sometimes they use that to cool down. When they flap their ears, it's a one way of cooling down the blood, or especially in the middle of the day. Or sometimes they take a wallow, throwing the body, it's the muds on the body. All right, let me just go forward. And there's a beautiful background because the sun is almost going down here in Africa. And then look at the boy. The fifth leg is growing. I don't know whether you can see that. Such a great sighting to watch. Yes, this is Olarimotorogi Conservancy. This is Olarimotorogi Conservancy. It's having a pea actually. All right, so we are getting end of our Sofa Safari. Looking forward to host you next Wednesday. So what I can say, thank you for the viewers, and I wish to see you again on next Wednesday for another Sofa Safari for great sighting. This is Olare Motorogi Conservancy, and this is Mahali Mzuri, and what I can say, goodbye and see you next time.